Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Vlogmas week 2. It is currently the 7th of December and I am about to start my day. I'm still in my PJs. I need to get a cup of coffee. If you are not caught up to everything that we have done so far in Vlogmas, I will link the Vlogmas video above, below, all the things from my first week of Vlogmas. These vlogs are very much lifestyle and just coming along with me as I read and do holiday things for the entire month of December or the first 24 days. The first thing we have to do, though, is open my advent calendar. I have a bookish advent calendar. If you don't know, if you haven't seen the first vlog, I made it myself. All the way back in January, I started collecting books and wrapping them, so I didn't know what was in here. And every day I get to open a new book. So let's see what I got today. I've read quite a few of the books that I have unwrapped, but I will not be reading this one today because I do have quite the stack of currently reading books that we will look at in a second. Ooh, this one I'm very excited about, even though it is a historical fantasy, although I'm currently reading a historical fantasy that I really like. And that is The London Seance Society by Sarah Penner. I read The Lost Apothecary a couple of years ago now. It's been a while. And I really enjoyed that book, so I'm excited to read the author's next release, which was this one. Also, the covers of these books are just absolutely gorgeous. But again, I'm not going to be reading this today because I'm currently in the middle of 3 books. 3. So we do not need to add to that stack. Here is my stack of currently reading. I will just do a really quick update on where we left everything at the end of Vlogmas Day 6, since that's in a different video. I'm 124 pages into The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Catherine Arden. Really enjoying this story and excited to dive back into it soon. Maybe today? Who knows? I am 22 pages into Because You Love to Hate Me. This is a short story collection and I'm just doing one short story every single day. So yesterday I read the first one and I am very close to done. Voyage of the Damned. I only have about 60, 70 pages left of this book, and today is my last day for the buddy read with Julie that I'm doing on this book. So this is going to be my first priority when I get to reading later today, because I need to finish this today for my buddy read, and I really want to know the conclusion of this mystery. Julie and I have been having a really fun time reading this book, so I'm excited to dive more into it later today. But first, I need to get the coffee. Second, there's a Christmas craft fair up around the corner that I would like to go to, so I think we're going to head over to that after I get dressed and get the coffee. And I also need to wrap some Christmas presents today. My son is not home until later this afternoon. He had a sleepover last night. So it's the perfect time to wrap some presents very sneakily and wrap some stocking stuffers and just get some Christmas wrapping done without a child finding me.
It's the end of the year. Everywhere on TV, couples and Christmas trees, gift wrapping and cheer. Just the worst time to be without someone special. In all the movies there, kissing in the snow, holding hands and mittens, baking together at home. Not like the movies when I'm walking in the snow, cold hands and mittens, eating gingerbread home alone. I dream of December nights, kissing under bright lights, snowflakes in my head, carols playing in the air. I dream of December nights, kissing under bright lights, red bow in my hair.
So we just left the craft fair and I didn't get a lot of things, but I had to show you the couple things that I got. So I did get another advent calendar, like we needed another, but like I couldn't leave that there. This is a cookie advent calendar and it's all like iced shortbread cookies for the 12 days of Christmas. She personally made them and somehow got this box printed. So adorable. I'm very excited to dive into this year. And then she also had a paint your own cookie with like some watercolor type food paint. And I thought that would be something really fun to do this week at home. But that's all I got there. I'm going to head home and do some of that Christmas wrapping that I mentioned and maybe some reading a little bit later. But I definitely needed to show you these new calendars. I just finished Voyage of the Damned, and I do have some thoughts in the previous Vlogmas video of my early thoughts of this book, but I'll give you a quick synopsis and then my final overall thoughts. In this book, we follow the 12 blessed of this land. Each province has one blessed person who basically holds the power of the goddess. And each one of these people has a blessing, which is some magic from the goddess that has been passed down to them, and each one has a different blessing, which is a secret at the beginning of this book, and we do unravel it as we go. They are going to the mountain of the goddess to thank the goddess for their powers because they all have now inherited them from their parents. And during this journey, they start dropping like flies, and murders happen left, right, and center, and we are trying to figure out who is murdering them. Our main detective is the blessed from the Fish Province, Gangamedes, and he creates a little group of detectives that work to solve this mystery. One of his is the youngest blessed from Grasshopper Province, who actually goes by Grasshopper in the book. She is 6 years old. She is adorable, absolutely adorable. And honestly, I would have liked to have seen more of her in the later half of this book. I feel like we saw a lot of Grasshopper in the beginning and not a lot in the end, which is unfortunate because Grasshopper is one of my favorite characters in the book. However, overall, I really did like this murder mystery fantasy blend. I do think, yes, the plot in and of itself is a murder mystery. I do think the book leans more fantasy because the parts that I really loved about this book were the fantastical parts and not necessarily the mystery parts. I loved the dragons. There were like little waiter dragons on this ship. The politics, the political fantasy politics, that was the part that I wanted to know more about. This different province system, the different leaders, how they coexist, how they commingle, the different politics of this land. That is what I love the most. Also, I really appreciated the representation in this book. We have a trans character in this book. We have a non-binary character in this book. Love to see it. Love to see it. Was very happy to see that in this book as well. And honestly, I was concerned going into this book because it is a boat book. That's not something I typically like, but you could set this literally on anything in any place. It could have been set in a hotel other than the fact that they like are going someplace. But like the going someplace is really never talked about until the end of the book. The setting is such a secondary thing. It's not what's driving the plot. The murder mysteries and the politics, that's what's driving the plot. This is a very character-focused book, which is very common for murder mysteries because you're trying to find how everybody like interconnects to lead to people dying. I'm really glad I took a chance on this because I think this is a book that I would normally steer away from. First, the boat concept. Secondly, the mystery fantasy combo. That's not a combination I read or have read much from before, and this is making me want to pick up a lot more of them. The character work really worked for me in this book, and the sarcasm, it was funny, but there was also a lot of heavy things going on, and I think the sarcasm really worked for me as well. And I will definitely be picking up more in this genre blend in the future, 100%. But we have now finished another book for Vlogmas and a buddy read just in time to start B&K Book Club tomorrow, which is perfect. However, tonight, I think I'm just gonna make dinner because it's about dinner time, so I'm gonna go do that right now. And then I think I might just watch a holiday movie tonight. I'm kind of feeling the need to just like have another holiday movie night. The other night we watched the new Lindsay Lohan movie and that was so fun and I just really enjoyed watching it that it makes me want to watch another Netflix movie because they've had quite a few come out that I haven't seen yet. So I need to go watch some of those, I think, before the end of the holiday season. If you are a big holiday movie watcher, can you leave recommendations for ones that I should prioritize that are on like Netflix or Prime or really anywhere? Like just let me know. Disney even. I have all the subscriptions, so like any of them would be great. Like let me know which ones I should watch because I've only watched 2 new released holiday movies this holiday season. I watched Hot Frosty, which was atrocious. That was not good. It was not good, everyone. It was really not good. And then I watched the new Lindsay Lohan one and whatever we're gonna watch tonight. So let me know which ones to prioritize. I'm not gonna get to them all. Like it's impossible to watch them all in one December season, especially with all the other stuff we have going on. So I would love your input into which ones I should try because I wish I would not have wasted an evening on Hot Frosty. Welcome to Vlogmas Day 8. I am just sitting in front of my computer because I'm about to start B&K book club sprints. We're doing bonus Sunday sprints for the book club this month, and we are going to be reading Make This Season Bright by Ashley Herring Blake. I'm going to be reading this all afternoon, so I will check back in later with my thoughts on this book. But before sprint started, I wanted to open my Advent book because I haven't gotten around to that today. It's like a perfect snowy day today. Like, it's just enough snow to give you the snow vibes without being like a mess outside, which is kind of perfect for like a cozy holiday book day. But first, let's see what I got in my Advent today. I have no idea what these are. I've completely lost track of what's in this Advent calendar at this point. I had this one on a Pride TBR a couple of years ago now, and I never got around to reading it. So when I saw this at the used bookstore, I snatched it up because I didn't own it. I had borrowed it from the library. And I find that a lot of times I borrow books from the library. I don't necessarily get around to them. I would like to use my library more, but I tend to just borrow, have them sit there, return them when they're due. I'm not great about reading them. So owning this will help me get to it sooner rather than later. And at one point in time, I knew what this book was about more than I do right now. I know it's a male-male romance, and that's all that I remember, but I do love this cover and like the floral and color design. And there's definitely a possibility that we read this at some point over the Advent season, but at this point, I'm also getting quite a stack of books that we've opened and not read, and I'm certainly not starting that today because I need to go start this right now. So I'm going to go start sprints. I will check back with you either at the end of sprints or the 50% point of this book, depending on where I get. And sprints are really my only plan for today. We're going to be done around 5 o'clock, so then I'll do dinner, and I have no idea what we're doing this evening. Maybe nothing, to be honest. We've been so busy. If you go back and watch Vlogmas week 1, we were going like every single day. So I'm not overly mad if we don't get to anything tonight, but we'll see what we get up to. So we are on the last sprint for B&K, and I wanted to come and do a quick update because after this, I have no idea what I'm doing after sprints, but I don't think I'll be picking up the camera again, at least not to chat to it. I'll probably film some B-roll at some point, depending on what we do, but I don't foresee me wanting to chat. I just kind of want to get cozy and comfy for the evening. So I am 118 pages in. I just finished chapter 9, about to start chapter 10. And this book, unfortunately, is quite a big letdown at this moment for me, which is so sad. I've read 2 books by this author in the past, Delilah Green, Astrid Parker, and loved both of them, especially Astrid, 5 stars. And this book is just not living up to my expectations of this author. In this book, we follow Bryden and Charlotte. They are both in the music industry, and they've known each other for years, but haven't spoken in 4 or 5 years when one of them left the other at the altar. They are both going away with friends for Christmas to a friend's house. These friends happen to be sisters, and they meet up at this house for Christmas. Charlotte immediately does not want to handle this. She does not want to deal with this situation, so she pretends she doesn't know Bryden. Bryden is the one that left Charlotte at the altar, so Charlotte is still harboring a lot of hurt and has a lot of walls up around her because of this. Bryden, I don't even know what Bryden is doing at this moment in time. Like, I have no idea what Bryden's motivations are at all. But my main issue with this book is actually how it's written. There are a lot of flashback scenes, and the way they're done in the book is actually fairly confusing. And a lot of times I keep having to stop in the middle of a scene and try and orientate myself. I need to try and figure out what timeline I'm in because I'm a little bit discombobulated. And I would say that's an audiobook problem, but it's happened when I'm listening to the audio, and it's also happened when I physically have been looking at the book right in front of me. So it's both. There are a ton of side characters because one brought 4 friends with her, one brought 1, and then we also have the family that they've joined. And all these side characters are very one note, and I feel like I don't really know any of them, and I can almost get them confused in my head. I feel like the cast of characters is too big, and we didn't spend enough time really setting them up if you're going to give me that many characters. And And one of the other things this book did, which I really dislike in books, and it is definitely a me thing, it's something that I just personally do not like, a pet peeve of mine. We relived a scene from both perspectives. So one chapter we see a scene from Charlotte's perspective, next chapter we see the exact same scene from Bryden's. And I hate when books do that. I do not need to relive a moment from another perspective. Somehow give me how they felt in that moment from the moment you switch perspectives in the timeline. Don't go backwards. I do not love that. I hate that repetitive feel to it. It's just something that I really do not like in a book. I usually do like, though, flashbacks and timeline jumps where we get to know them when they were together and now when they're not and why we want them to come back together. But I don't think it's executed super well in this. And honestly, I don't think I'm connected to either of these characters enough to want them to get back together, which is a flaw for a contemporary romance. I need to be rooting for them, and I'm not. So right now, this is overall just a really big letdown. I am going to finish it because it is the book club book. I think if it wasn't a book club book, I would DNF it. But I am going to finish it up. I may just listen while I do my diamond painting. I haven't made much headway on my Christmas diamond painting yet. So that actually may be what I do tonight while I just listen to this for a little while. Luckily, even though I'm not loving this, it's reading pretty fast, so I should be able to knock it out pretty quickly. And I actually think I just decided what I'm going to do tonight after dinner when I get cozy is just do some diamond painting while listening to this. Because I was a little undecided about what I was going to do tonight, and I honestly have made very little progress on that, so that's what we're going to do. Evening task decided.
Alone, it's Christmas, but I won't wait till next year to try and feel the distance we've had with decorations in my bag. It's taking it slow, won't work on time. It's only so long for Christmas lights. It can't be a song you sing sometimes. I need you to sing it for your whole life. So let me be your family this Christmas. Let this be the season that you've been waiting for. Let me be your family this Christmas. Give to you myself this year, I promise I'm yours. This year you've left me wondering just how you're feeling, and I want you to know my doubts about his realize. Me walking barefoot in the San Diego snow. I wanna make you, I wanna make you, I wanna make you feel something familiar. I celebrate you. God did his thing with you. Don't be a stranger, be my date. Without you, this ain't a holiday.
We are going to open my Advent book here in a second, but first, let's have a chat about Make the Season Bright, because wow, yesterday when I talked to you, I was disliking this book, but it got so much worse the longer I read the book. It got so toxic. This relationship and even the friendships in this book, so many of the relationships in this book are so toxic. I have so many thoughts. We discussed it on the B&K Discord. If you want like my spoiler thoughts, you can head over to the Discord and check it out. But I will keep it non-spoiler here. And I disliked this book so very much. When you have a second chance romance, you have to somehow show that these characters have grown, that they have moved forward in a way that they can fix the reason they broke up the first time. In this book, we have one of them leaving the other at the altar, and it's okay if you don't feel like you're ready to get married. That's totally fine, but you need to communicate that with your person. You don't just not show up to the wedding, leave them standing there, and not speak to them for 5 years. And on top of that, act like the wronged party 5 years later, like you are the victim. And that is how it felt the whole time, was that Bryden knew that she had done something wrong by leaving her at the altar, but still felt that Charlotte was really the villain of the story. And I was like,
What are you talking about?
like, you did this to her. Like, of course she doesn't want to let you back in. Of course she has boundaries up. Of course she has walls. You took her heart and you stamped on it. And she keeps talking about how Charlotte is so different now. And I'm like, yes, anyone 5 years later is going to be very different. Anyone who has gone through what she's gone through is going to be very different. If someone is the same at 25 as they were at 30, I'm actually a bit concerned. They should have grown and changed. And to vilify her for that was annoying. The side characters in this book also kept making it Charlotte's fault, even though they didn't know the full ins and outs of it. But they were so upset with Charlotte for being, in their vision, uptight. Which, might I add, we see her have 2 panic attacks at the start of this book. So we know she has some anxiety disorders. We know she has some trauma from childhood she's bringing into this book. And no one around her seems to have any sympathy for her in any way, shape, or form. They even use the word that she should relax. And I hate when we tell someone who has a mental health problem or trauma to relax. No, let's get a mental health professional in here and be understanding that people's lives are complicated and maybe you don't know the whole story. These 2 people should not be together. No time in this book did I think they had moved forward enough that this relationship would ever work out long term, or that they had mended anything to make it work long term. It honestly feels like I am watching history repeat itself and that they are going to end up breaking up in the future. This is not the romance we all should aspire to. This is not the relationship that people should aspire to. It's toxic. Also, if one of our characters is so drunk that they cannot even barely speak and are throwing up, like they are that level of drunk, and the other person is completely sober, anything that happens in that scene should not be used to move the relationship forward and should not be used to move the plot forward. Someone is too drunk for anything to be happening of any consequence in that moment. I believe that for all contemporary romances. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see that because it's not, no, they're drunk. They're so drunk. So if you can't tell by my rant that I just went on, I'm going to give this 1 star, and I'm probably going to unhaul this book because I don't want it on my shelves. This is so sad to me because I have loved this author in the past. Absolutely loved. Astrid Parker, 5 stars. Delilah Green, a high 4 star. This 1 star. I don't even know what has happened or how we got here, but I am going to put this book behind me because I just don't want to even think about it anymore now that I've told you my thoughts. I want to put it behind me and never think about it again. So let's bring the holiday vibes with opening a new book for my Advent. And then today, if I read some more, I'm going to be reading The Warm Hands of Ghosts because I want to get that finished before I start anything else. So let's see what we have here. I am excited about this one. This one is actually on Timmy's TBR because I knew it was in the Advent and it fit a prompt for Timmy's TBR. And I wanted to kind of have some way to hit some of these Advent books through Timmy's. This is the sequel to The Boyfriend Project, which I read, I would say almost 2 years ago now. It has been a while, and I'm excited to continue with this series. I'm not going to start this today, but when it's time to start a new book, this is very likely where I'm going to go, especially since it's on Timmy's. I feel like I need to read a good romance after reading the one that I just read. Today is very much an in-the-house day. I don't even think we're leaving at all today. I do have patron sprints tonight at 6 p.m., so I will be having sprints all evening. What I will read on those, probably The Warm Hands of Ghosts if I read. I may edit though, because I do have some editing to do. Anyway, let's just have like a cozy at-home day, see what we get up to, and I'll bring you along.
Everybody knows Christmas is coming. Thank one and all. Time to hang your stockings, baby, and have yourself a ball. People all over this big world, they're laughter fills the air. Hearts are warm, love is everywhere. It's the time of the year we love. Thank the stars and the moon above. Hug your kids, tell your friends. Christmas time is here again. Christmas time is here again. It's here again. Christmas time is here again. Go tell your friends. Christmas time is here again. Christmas time is here again. Snowflakes falling gentle and bright. Candles glow in the winter night. Families' laughter fills the air. Hearts are warm, love.
Now it is December 10th and it is time to open my book advent calendar for the day. Now, due to the size of this one, I know what it is. Nothing else is this chunky in this advent, so I know exactly what is in this. And I'm not going to be reading it during Vlogmas. I actually already have a buddy read set up for January to read this with one of my patrons, Sarvasha. So we are going to be reading this in January, but let's open it. Let's put it on the shelves. Let's get into it. But this one is not really a surprise today because it's so chunky, it stands out from everything else. It's Malice by John Gwynne. I have been wanting to try the Faithful and the Fallen series for a while, and in January will be the time I do just that. But for right now, this is going to go on the advent cart with everything else. However, I am going to take a book off this advent cart, and that is Done and Dusted. Kelsey and I are starting our buddy read today of Done and Dusted, and now Neva's come on as well, so we are doing a fun 3-person buddy read, finding out if we like this cowboy romance better than Chestnut Springs. Now, I will say that's for me, really. The other two like Chestnut Springs, so that's more a question for me than for those two, but I'm interested to see how this goes. It's going to be a really quick buddy read. This book is not very big. It's only like a 7-hour audiobook. We are breaking this down over 4 days, so I will be reading this in conjunction with other books. Currently, that's The Warm Hands of Ghosts, but I think I'll finish that either today or tomorrow. Also today, I am finally going to go see Wicked. I cannot believe I haven't gone yet. It just hasn't lined up that I've been able to go, so today's the day. We're gonna go see Wicked. Good morning, friends. I don't think I ever knew what Bananas Foster coffee would taste like, but it's actually very good. I feel like the last few days of the coffee advent have been top tier for flavors. During the first week, we got some very good flavors, but we also got some very plain flavors, like just a breakfast blend, just a regular dark roast, which is not my favorite. But since the dark roast, we've had amazing flavors back to back to back to back to back, and I'm living for it. It's so good. And it's a great way to start off my day. One thing I've already done this morning is read my buddy read pages of Done and Dusted. It's only like 8 a.m. I'm killing it today, getting so much done, which actually puts me at about the 50% point of this book. I read some of it yesterday, some of it today with the buddy read, and I'm actually really liking this book. This follows Emmy and Luke is Emmy's brother's best friend, and there's an age gap between them of about 5 years. So growing up, Luke really did think of Emmy as his brother's little baby sister because she was a lot younger. Like when you're 18 and someone's 13, that's a big age gap at that age. Now, obviously, they are grown and Emmy is coming home after having an accident on her horse. Emmy does barrel racing. She was in the rodeo. She was flung from a horse, hit like a fence. It was a very dangerous throw off a horse. And now she's very scared to get back on horses. And she's just come home to her family ranch to rest, recoup, and kind of decide, can she ride again? Does she even want to be in the rodeo anymore? Yes, she might ride on the ranch, but does she want to be in the rodeo? And she's making those decisions now that she's home. We meet her dad a tiny bit. He's certainly not a main character in this book, but we do meet her brothers, Gus and Wes. Gus is Luke's best friend. Wes, from what I can tell, is a little bit older. And I really like these brothers and I really like this family. And I'm hoping we follow the brothers' romances as we go along. Also, we have her niece Riley because Gus is a single dad, and Riley, we only see her in like 2 chapters in the beginning, but she is adorable. And you know I love a single dad romance. You know it. I'm here for it if you want to give me a single dad romance. So Luke and Emmy reconnect, and immediately you can see that there's some sexual tension now that they're grown, they're adults, and he starts to help her overcome her fear of horses. And we're just following their relationship through the book. I really do like their relationship. I really like Emmy. I really like Luke. I really like the family, as I said. The one thing I don't like is his nickname for her. It started off as a sarcastic thing. He called her Sugar, and now it's not necessarily sarcastic. And I just don't love that nickname. And I'm usually not hating on nicknames. I don't mind a cute pet name. That doesn't bother me. But Sugar, I don't know, something about it just doesn't work for me. Luckily, it doesn't happen that often. It's not all the time. We maybe have seen it like 5 times through the course of the 160 pages I've read. So it's not enough to really deter from my enjoyment of the book, but it's not something that I'm loving. I'm going to keep reading this over the next day with the buddy read, but I am done this for today because I have done my buddy read pages. And I don't want to get too far ahead of Kelsey and Neva. That being said, I should probably go back to A Warm Hands of Ghosts, and I really do want to get back to that book, and I will eventually over Vlogmas. I read it a little bit the other day, but only like 30 pages, so there was nothing to update you on. But I was just checking my Libby, and I'm about to lose an audiobook for a book that's on Timmy's TBR. I have 2 days before I lose it, today and tomorrow, and I need to read it for Timmy's, and it's a holiday book. So I really did want to read it over this holiday season, so I think I'm going to jump into that and kind of read it along with Done and Dusted. And that book is A December to Remember. Now, this is not a romance as far as I can tell from the synopsis, so I do think that will help me keep these 2 books separate, plus one is holiday, one is not. This one follows 3 sisters as they come home after their father's passing to like read his will. I've read a lot of holiday books recently, but I haven't read any that weren't romances. So I think this will be really fun to pick up, and it is on Timmy's. I can't remember what it's on Timmy's for, but it is on Timmy's for one of the prompts that I had to read, and I really want to get to it before I lose the audiobook because we all know I'm basically an audiobook reader now. I don't pick up physical reads very often. So throughout the day, I'm going to dip into this as well. I also have a doctor's appointment today, and I might do some stuff around there while we're out. I'll bring the camera along. Obviously, I won't take you to my doctor's appointment, but to everything that we have around it that we're going to do, because I think we're going to do some shopping. We'll see. I really have no idea. Also, last night, we saw Wicked. If you haven't seen Wicked, I'm sure most of you have, because I am behind on getting to go see Wicked. It was fabulous. How close Ariana Grande played Glinda to how Kristen Chenoweth originally played Glinda. It was almost like watching a young Kristen Chenoweth play Glinda. Like, it was so uncanny. Highly, highly, highly recommend. Before I go to my doctor's appointment though, and before I get into this, we still need to open my book advent for the day. So let's do that next, and then we'll kind of get started on the day. At this point, I think we've opened all the books that I remembered that were in here, like the dating playbook that I put on Timmy's because I knew it was in there, Malice, Done and Dusted. Those ones I recalled being in here. Now I think anything I open, I've completely and utterly forgotten about. Like, I have no idea. I don't even know what this is from looking at the cover. Oh, yes. Yeah, I definitely forgot about this one. This is a dark academia thriller. If I do pick up thrillers, I do tend to go the dark academia route because that is something that I really like. And I had never heard of this book, but I found it at, I think, Value Village is where I've picked this up. And it just kind of caught my attention for the dark academia vibes. It's called The Ambrose School for Girls by Jessica Ward. I know nothing about it other than that, but we'll put it over on the cart and we'll see if we get to it during this season of Advent. We're running out of days. It's already the 11th, so we may not, but you'll see me read it in the next few months if I don't get to it throughout Advent. It is the 12th of December and it is a Thursday, which means I have 10 hours of being live on the internet today. So we are not leaving the house. So I have decided that it is a pajama day and we will be cozy in our Christmas PJs for the entirety of the day. It's so nice to just be cozy for a day after running around so much for the last 11 days. But I do think we'll get up to some holiday things today throughout doing sprints. I have 8 hours of sprints and then I have my Bones Watch along with my patrons. But I think during those sprints, because I am listening to an audiobook, we'll get some holiday wrapping done. I really do need to do some wrapping. I said I was going to wrap earlier in the week. Never did because my son came home early. So I think since I'm down in my office, I can just close the door and do some sneaky gift wrapping. I am 41% into A December to Remember, so my goal is to finish this out today since I lose the audiobook at like 9 a.m. tomorrow. This book follows three sisters after the death of their father. Their father owned like a collectible curio shop, and he has so much stacked in this shop, and they have to go through it and kind of unearth all his treasures, figure out what they want to keep, what they want to sell, etc. They did not have a super close relationship with their father. They each have different mothers. He really did sleep around. There were a lot of women at his funeral. A lot of tea comes out there. And they did not have a super close relationship with him. So they're going through this mourning period in a complicated way. Also, the three sisters are not necessarily super close either because they did grow up separately. They did spend some time during the summer with their father growing up, but they haven't seen each other in a fair number of years and a lot has gone on. Now their father has had a will saying the only way to like get your inheritances is to do these challenges. The first challenge is to find Monopoly houses and hotels that he scattered throughout all the curios in his store. And it's like vintage Monopoly hotels and houses, so they couldn't just like go get a new set. Like they have to find the original ones, bring them to the lawyer, and then they get like the next task. I've now seen 2 tasks and we're seeing the sisters come together and kind of mend their fences throughout this book and just kind of figure out where they want to go forward once they finish this task of figuring out their father's estate. It really is a family saga while also having a Christmas vibe. And I am really enjoying following these three sisters. They're older protagonists. They're not old by any means, but they're not like in their 20s. They're in their 40s, and it's nice to see mature characters and to see what they're tackling at this point in their lives. What they're facing is things with children, maybe thinking about dating after divorce or after being widowed. One of them is going through IVF, which there is a lot of heavy discussion about IVF in this book, so please go into that kindly with yourself if that's something that would be triggering for you. My goal is to hopefully finish this out during sprints today. I have 8 hours of sprints, which I just started. I'm coming to you a little bit late. We had kind of a slower start to the morning. I grabbed a coffee, and the next thing I did was watch Kayla's buzzword announcement because it came out last night. And I immediately started planning my buzzword reading challenge and my new buzzword cover challenge. Very excited about that, which I'm going to film tomorrow, I'm pretty sure. I still need to finish planning the cover challenge. I have the buzzword challenge all planned, but I still have to finish planning the cover challenge. Once I have all my picks picked out, I'll be able to film that tomorrow. At least that's my goal. But that was kind of my morning and just doing like housework. And I'm going to keep doing housework and maybe some wrapping and various things during the afternoon. I didn't film the housework because housework is not really fun for the Vlogmas. But I will have some holiday things going on while I read the rest of December to Remember. So I'll film what makes sense to film and you will see it after this. But before we do that, we need to open today's Advent book and see what we got for day 12. What is this? Bringing Down the Duke by Evie Dunmore. I was like, what is this author's name? By Evie Dunmore. I got this at the Dartmouth Book Exchange when I went for that shop with me, and I have been holding on to it ever since. This is a romance, and I believe it is historical, which is not something I typically pick up, but not because I don't like it. I don't think I've really read enough historical romance to decide if I like it. So this will be a good time for me to find out. But let's get on with the vlog part of today. I've had a cup of coffee today, but I actually haven't had my Advent coffee. I just made a regular coffee at like 6 a.m. when I woke up because I didn't want to get out the camera and start vlogging yet. Like I was still half asleep, to be honest. So I think I'm gonna make an afternoon coffee with whatever comes out of my Advent and get started on the rest of this book.
Christmas tree lights twinkle bright.
Laughter fills the silent night.
It's the joy this season brings.
Fills your heart and makes you sing.
Build a frosty if there's snow.
Hide your out before you go.
Candy cane, sugar cookies.
One for you and one for me.
Jingle bells and children play. Rudolph leading Santa's sleigh. Mistletoe, the angels say. Love's the gift on Christmas Day. Love's the gift on Christmas Day. That's right, love's the gift on Christmas Day.
So I am currently on our last sprint and I just finished a December to Remember, and I wanted to come here and give my final thoughts on the book and also close out this vlog. This is the 6th day of Vlogmas, day 12 in this vlog, and I will be starting another Vlogmas video tomorrow with days 13 through 18 tomorrow. So I will be starting that tomorrow with some brand new stuff. I have some exciting things happening next week. This week was more of a in the house week. There was less going on, but next week we're doing a lot of stuff outside the house. So it's going to be a little bit more adventurous. But let's chat about this. So I am finished this. I really did enjoy this book. I gave it 4 stars. I like the small town vibes in this. Their father's estate is set up in this small town, and everybody feels like they know the girls, even though the girls were kind of in and out of this town over the years. All the villagers really do feel like they have a connection to the girls, and you see that as we go through the book. We see the sisters coming together and growing together and putting aside differences and learning more about each other's adult lives that maybe they didn't know, and reforming those sisterly bonds and maybe even forming them further than they ever did as children. Because they only spent summers together, this is their first Christmas together. And I will say it's not really a Christmassy book. Most of this book is set around the winter solstice and a winter solstice celebration. That is part of what they have to do to get their inheritances put on this celebration. So it is Christmas, but it's not super Christmassy. I would say you could read this anytime like in the winter and that would be fine. It's definitely more of a winter read. But I was rooting for every single one of these characters and I really liked the look of what was going on in each of their lives. I said this in the last one. We had one that was following IVF. We had one sister that just got out of an abusive relationship and we see the other sisters coming around and helping her with that. We have one sister that's a single mother and I really related to her story and found that really interesting watching that as a single parent myself. So it was really complex situations going on and I really liked how the author went at that. Overall, I really enjoyed it and I definitely will be checking out other books by this author in the future. Luckily, I already have another on my shelf, so that will probably be the next one that I read. But this is the end of Vlogmas Day 12 and the end of the week 2 of Vlogmas video. I'm really glad that I had a day just sitting at home and reading in my PJs today. I got some wrapping done, got some diamond painting done. I did a lot of house cleaning that needed to be done. You didn't see that on the vlog, but I did get a lot of cleaning done while I was listening to this, and it was very necessary. The house needed a refresh. Plus, I got to hang out on sprints with a lot of fabulous people. I love spending Thursday with everybody on sprints. We didn't get to do it last week, and I so missed it, and I'm so glad to be back on Thursdays for some sprints. I have bones after this, but I'm just going to close out the vlog now because that's literally all I'm going to do tonight is watch 2 episodes of Bones. And then I will meet you tomorrow where we are going to start our cookie advent that I got at the start of this vlog. You would have seen me go to a craft fair and get a cookie advent. We are going to start that tomorrow. Tomorrow is 12 days till Christmas. So we will get a start on our new advent. And also a lot of baking will be happening tomorrow because I do have a cookie exchange this weekend that I'm going to take you to, but I need to make cookies first. But I will see you in the next vlog. That will be the following Monday after you see this one. I hope you are having a lovely holiday season. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.